Greetings, music lovers. I'm Ace, and you're tuned in to For the Rotation, the podcast where DJ stories become the soundtrack to your success. In each episode, we'll embark on a journey through DJ stories that transcend music, weaving through the highs, the lows, and the transformative power of resilience. Join me as we explore the rhythm of accomplishment, turning obstacles into opportunities as we learn how my guests did it all for the rotation. My next guest is an amazing human being. I've had the honor to work with her at Grand Performances for the Art Laboe tribute. She currently is the DJ for the Honey Pot once a month on Dub Lab and wears many, many hats within production. And I'd like to introduce to you DJ Mamabear.
Hi, Ace.
Hi. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a long journey to get you on here, and I can't say thank you enough for being here and actually, just sharing your story. Of course.
No, it's a pleasure.
And you know what? I think everybody who's going to watch this is actually going to learn a lot, and they're going to be inspired, and they're going to learn why I'm actually also very excited to have you on here as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let's start in the beginning. I like to always start from the beginning.
Okay.
And I like to start with the beginning of how you first fell in love with music. Can you share that with me? What was your inspiration, or who was your inspiration, and how are you inspired?
Well, music is one of my earliest memories. So actually, my first introduction to music was obviously through my parents. It's the music that they played. Okay. But I'll never forget, I went to my first concert when I was 5 years old.
There you go.
And it was the B-52s Cosmic Thing tour. If anybody remembers that record, it's one of my favorite records. Right. And I think the Pretenders opened up for them. And I have two siblings, and they were not interested in this at all. But I was like entranced from the moment I saw a live performance, the moment I saw Fred Schneider, and the Beehives, and just the stage performance. I fell in love with live music. Mm. But then, how many times could I go to a concert as a kid? So that's where, what my parents played at home had a major influence on me. Mm-hmm. So I listened to, as a kid, my parents listened to like a lot of new wave, a lot of Devo, Oingo Boingo. I grew up on K-Rock, I grew up in the suburbs. I grew up in Ontario in the 909 and the IE, but we got K-Rock that far out. Listened to a lot of 91X in San Diego too. And so a lot of kind of like rock new wave influence, but my mom also loved funk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Funk music, R&B music. That's what really got us pumped and got us hyped to clean up the house on the weekends, as our little chores. So their influence was major. And they were also very supportive of my love for music and supported me when I played music. And a lot of like my little high school jobs or my hustles were to buy music, to buy CDs, to buy a CD burner, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. I worked in high school just so I could buy a CD burner to fit into my tower so I could make mix CDs and sell them. And music has been a huge part of my life ever since I was little, but it was part of a hustle too in high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were selling mix CDs when you were in high school?
I would trade them. It was $3 a pop or one CD for a ride home. Because I didn't take, I lived far away from my high school, so I would say, hey, could I get a ride? I'll give you a mix CD. And some people still have those mix CDs to this day. Wow. They'll send me pictures and be like, do you remember this?
I kid you not, I have some of my friends' mix CDs.
Yeah, if you still have them, if they still play. But
that's true, right?
Yeah, so I've, and back then in high school, that was like the LimeWire era, the Kaza era. And so I definitely had a few viruses on my parents' computers because of that. But it was all worth it because I had fun, cutting my teeth in hip hop. That's when I started to learn more about hip hop. And then I had kind of like, punk rock phase, a hardcore phase, pop punk. Being in Southern California, how could you not have a moment where like you listen to Sublime 40 Ounces to Freedom, like for a whole summer?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But throughout from the beginning, funk music has always had a special place in my heart. Funk and soul music, R&B.
That's amazing. So like, I'm curious to know, like, when did your hands first touch a turntable?
Wow. College. Okay, so college was the first time, but I'd been obsessed with DJing and the art of DJing since middle school. I went to middle school in Rancho Cucamonga, and they used to have DJ pizza lunches where a DJ would come in and perform like once a quarter, and I was always in a trance and obsessed with the DJ. And of course, back then they played turntables, and so when I finally got close enough to touch one, it was in college. And I saw that turntable. It was in somebody's dorm. And I was like, I want that. I need to have that. I got to have it. And I, though, didn't get my first pair of turntables until I got hit by a car, which is a whole other story. We got time?
We got a lot of time. This is great. Okay, keep going.
Okay. So I touched some dude's turntable and I was like, I want turntables. And I thought that like, okay, I'll eventually get there. I'll eventually get my own turntables. I thought, maybe I'll find them in a garage sale or something. Well, in a turn of events, I got hit by a car while driving my scooter. I had like a motor scooter in San Francisco. I went to school in San Francisco and I was driving my little moped, like a proper like Vespa type scooter, not a Lime scooter. I'm cruising on it. I get T-boned. I get hit. I fly off, break my arm.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And the dude was at fault, So we settled and I got a little coin. And the first thing I did was buy 2 turntables, a mixer, and like a Curated records.
Wow.
And I say to this day, like I would do it all over again. I would get hit by a car all over again because thankfully it just busted my left arm and I'm a righty. So in all, yes, it was painful and it was annoying having to wear a cast and stuff like that. But if it wasn't for those turn of events, maybe I would have never gotten my turntables when I did, or maybe I wouldn't gotten that Creative Records, which the Creative Records I bought was a Creative compilations, mix it compilations, and they're Paul Cameron. No, yeah, is it Paul Cameron? Cameron Paul. Sorry, I got it flip-flop. Cameron Paul, he was a big-time DJ in San Francisco back in the 80s and 90s. And these were compilations. Because when I first started DJing, I didn't have the money to buy singles and albums.
It's expensive.
Yeah, so you want to buy a 12-inch record. You want to buy a Biggie record. That's at $9 for one song.
And then you want doubles.
Exactly. Well, if you want doubles, or I'm like, if I got to play, a party, I only have 12 records. That's 12 songs. So I found these compilations by Cameron Paul that were like DJ edits. So they had some extra drums, or they had a cool DJ friendly intro, which was like 4 or 8 bars.
Yeah.
And then I was able to have 8 songs on a record, like 4 on an A side, 4 on a B side. Yeah. So I felt like I had struck gold, because then all of a sudden I was like, I could DJ for 3 hours.
Wow.
And so I got those turntables, locked myself in a bedroom, and tried to figure out how to plug the RCAs in. Everything was crisscrossed. It was all wacky and backwards, and like nothing was making noise. And I was just so frustrated. But then I met my DJ mentor.
There we go.
Yeah. My DJ mentor, his name's Toph One, and I met him at a very infamous party called Doing It in the Park in San Francisco. That's where I went to college. Okay. And I'll never forget, he was DJing in front of a huge crowd of people, and he was playing like Talking Heads with Tribe Called Quest. Like something very nonsensical. Like you would never think to play kind of like this rock into hip hop, but he did it seamlessly. And I pulled him aside afterwards. Well, I asked him, I begged him. I was like, will you be my mentor? Because what you just did was I thought so left field and very, rebellious. And he was like, yeah, school starts now. And I was like, oh shit. And the next day,
no way,
I heard from him. He emailed me and we started, and he taught me how to DJ, and he taught me how to blend records. He taught me how to blend hip hop records like house records. So typically when you mix 2 records together in house music, you have really long blends, like 8 bars,
Yes,
hip hop, it's kind of like you drop it in 1 bar, 4 bar, where this guy was just like just not mixing quick. He was like, let's enjoy this ride. And so I really owe Toph One everything, and he still lives in San Francisco and he still DJs. And if he watches this or listens to this, I hope he knows that he was very pivotal in helping me kind of create a style that wasn't just a hip hop DJ or just a funk DJ or whatever, because he had an apartment filled with records of all different genres and somehow made it into a story.
Wow.
Yeah, made it make sense.
Wow. That's amazing. You've just said a lot in a very short period of time.
I'm sorry. I'm like, coffee.
But I mean, just to pick apart just parts of what you've just said, it's like you first saw the turntables, you touched it, and you said, I want to have it, right? This is what's mine. And that's like an envisionment, right? And like, how do you describe that? Like, have you ever thought back and looked at it and said like, wow, this really happened for me? Like, would you say that putting yourself in a position, not necessarily getting T-barred on a Vespa, but I would say putting yourself in a position to actually, going and actually going to these events. If you didn't go to that event, right? Was that party in the park?
Doing it in the park.
Doing it in the park, right? And then actually engaging with Toph One, right? Right. That was your beginning. Yeah. Right. So like, was that your process of becoming who you are, or did you know that was going to happen for you, or were you just living life? Can you ever reflected on that?
Yeah, I have thought. Well, I thought that the only to be very transparent, I thought that if I like met the right person or dated the right guy, I would become a DJ. Okay. Like he would teach me everything. And that was not my path at all. Like I thought that, I did go to the parties because I enjoyed them and I loved the DJs. Back then in San Francisco, I was in San Francisco in 2006. 2007, I was seeing DJs like DJ Shortcut, Apollo, like Invisible Scratch Pickles, like big deal DJs that I would just be able to see on a Wednesday night at Milk Bar. Like unbelievably lucky and fortunate to have access to such heavy hitters. DJ Sake One, he threw some incredible parties too. Guys doing stuff in San Jose. So I would see them and watch their style and really admire them and want to do that. But it wasn't until I locked myself in my bedroom and blended records together until it no longer sounded like shoes in a dryer. Wow. Just like I tried to mix a Too Short record for weeks. I'll never forget. I was like, this is never going to happen. And then finally, once it did, it built the confidence. And then, but continuing to go out to clubs and be inspired by other DJs. And definitely, I think being out in the streets, like being in the scene, I should say, being out in the clubs definitely helped. And San Francisco at that time was just much more like you just had more access to arts and music than you would now. Like I think that era is completely long gone. Like I'll never be able to see these DJs play and be influenced by them, because of one of the biggest things I took away from seeing a DJ like Shortcut, who is still one of my favorite DJs, is how he would start with one genre and then cross through 3 or 4 and then finish at the end of the night. And it's not just an entirely hip hop night. Like in San Francisco, I learned how to have stamina. Wow. Because back then, if you wanted a DJ night, they're like, cool, you have First Fridays and you play from open to close. Right. Most people are like they get an hour guest set. With an hour for me, I'm just getting wet. Like I'm barely just starting. You know what I mean? Right, I'm just warming up. Where I see somebody like Shortcut who starts with R&B and then goes into 90s hip hop that's like at 100 BPM and that gets into some like party rockers. Then he gets into house, then new wave, then reggae, dance hall, then goes down to funk and soul all in one night. It's like, why wouldn't you leave? You don't get bored. Yeah. And so I've lived in different cities since I learned how to DJ in San Francisco. I lived in Chicago, which is also an incredible place to learn about music. Yeah. But one of the things I'm most grateful for is that I learned how to DJ in a city like San Francisco, where you're there all night or like not at all. Like you have to hold it down. And that's really where I got a lot of my hours in, was by having a weekly residency at places like Double Dutch, Butter, Soam Bar. A lot of these places don't exist anymore, but like you were there all night. Wow. Yeah. So what did your routine look like when you were trying to learn how to DJ? Now, how did that look when you were starting off and then you were actually trying to perfect your craft? Right. Well, give me an outlook on that. Okay. Well, when I started, Toph One was and still is a completely all vinyl DJ. So when I met him, Serato was out, which is the digital program, DJ program for people who aren't familiar. And he said, okay, one of the rules with me is that like you learn on vinyl. Wow. And I was like, that's fine. And he really kind of instilled in me this idea that like vinyl is superior. Once you learn this, everything else kind of falls into place. So I learned on wax, mastered the art of mixing vinyl, and then I got Serato eventually, which made gigging much easier because I just had to bring a backpack rather than, I mean, I would double park with 3 or 4 crates, you know, and have to schlep it in. Remember, records, you know, no requests. I mean, I still don't take requests even if I have Serato and Wi-Fi. I don't fucking take requests. But then I learned on Serato, I kind of got the blessing from Toph One, and it was more acceptable. And that was in year 2010. So when Serato came out, I just simply transferred all of the MP3s I'd been collecting since high school. And I already had crates. I didn't have to go and seek out music. I was like, oh, this is my high school turn up mixtape, or this is my Aquanet set mixtape. If you guys remember Power 106, the Aquanet set, every Freestyle Fridays, West Coast Wednesdays. I mean, major influences of Power 106, 92.3 The Beat, Theo. I'm definitely still hugely influenced by radio, but with the vinyl sets, I was able to, like, my preparation for a vinyl set was I would go through my records once a week. I would go digging. I would pick 1 or 2 new records. Back then, it wasn't so much buying online like it is now. I would go to record shops like Amoeba, Needle in the Groove, different places that don't exist in San Francisco. But then when Serato came, that was like the era of blogs where you could download MP3s. You would exchange hard drives, swap hard drives with people. Where, I mean, you could get a hard drive from a homie, like a homie visiting from LA. And you're like, oh my gosh, mind blown. You're like, I can play all these gigs now. I could do a dubstep gig. And that was fine. And then all of a sudden my computer is filled with shit that I don't know. I don't really play. And so that's when I started to really hone in on, like, what do I love to play? What really fills my cup? That when I play, I have fun. Because I can mix 2 songs together that have similar BPMs. That's no problem. Will it sound good? Will it make me want to boogie? Maybe not all the time. So that's when I really kind of focused in and honed on the sound that I really love to play, which is funk and R&B and soul music. And also at that time, that's when I started playing with the Sweater Funk crew in San Francisco, which is, they're an all vinyl crew.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You had an amazing mentor. I mean, I think it's really rare to hear someone new where Serato's available, right? But emphasize the importance of vinyl. I think that really makes sense to how your taste in music has just diversified into a way of what you truly like to play. Versus having such an immense catalog and access to so much different types of music, which you did. But at the same time, it made you hone in on who you truly are. Right. So, like, being a DJ, like when you were, okay, let's just go back to, like, where, you know, you're doing gigs and you're doing your thing. Was there a moment where you realized, like, yeah, this is what I want to be? Or did you always want to be that? Or did you ever feel like I made it?
You know, that's a really beautiful question, because I was just thinking, we were talking before the show, like, I always envisioned, you know, you always envisioned yourself on a stage. I was like, I always envisioned myself like side stage or backstage.
No way. No way.
Like, I always wanted to be like friends with the band, you know. I always wanted like backstage acts, like wristbands. I think I really was into the idea of like being with the cool people. I never thought I could be the person on stage. But then what I found was that when I continued to do what I loved and what was authentic to me, I ended up being on the stage. Like, I wasn't on the guest list. Like, I was the guest. Like, I had a guest list.
Wow.
You know, which was really something that I still pinch myself thinking about. Like, if people ask, you know, like, what's your rider, or like DJ Mamabear, you know, post on a door, it feels a little imposterish, because I mean, I just can't believe that I sometimes, like, I get booked for playing what I love and what I think nobody else would dig. But I've had moments through my DJ career where I kind of strayed away from playing what my heart really loves, and because it was fun. But then I realized, like, something was missing, or there was like a misalignment, or I wasn't getting booked for those certain parties because, I mean, I was playing that music, but I wasn't getting booked. And I was sitting back and thinking, like, what's going on? Like, I can play this type of genre just as better as the next person, but why am I not getting booked, or what differentiates me from them? And sometimes it's like the passion about it. And so I kind of like returned back to my roots of the the R&B, the funk, the 80s, the 80s soul.
Right.
But the thing about that music is that it's not super popular. You know what I mean? It's not popular for maybe like a commercial radio set or like a huge club night, unless it's for the right people. There's definitely a deep following of like funkeros and funk folks that like really love that sound.
Right.
But I feel like I'm in a very comfortable place where like I know what I love and I play it well and I have fun doing it. And if other people dig it, dope. If they don't, there's 18 other clubs down the street, that you can go to.
I love it. Authenticity, right?
Thanks.
Completely. I love it. And that's really important. I feel like, I find that like being authentic, right, really leads you to find what your true passion is and what you truly love to do and be the best at it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
And it's been a long journey for you to find that out. Right.
Oh yeah.
Right. So like during your DJ career and like, traveling to different cities and living in different cities and playing, can you share with me like any moments that you've ever experienced setbacks, things that you've learned from?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like the first thing that comes to mind, I was living, I moved from Vegas to Los Angeles and I was just working full time as a DJ.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of people have DJing as a side gig, as a side hustle.
Okay.
DJing full time is a grind, to like sustain a lifestyle, especially live in a city, Los Angeles, to be a full-time professional DJ. It's like, you got to have those corporate gigs unlocked that you don't really talk about, those in stores, or you have a regular weekly or something like that. So I was full-time DJing and I was working for a client in West Hollywood. And I was playing music that didn't bring me joy. Mm-hmm. No, actually, I take that back. I was really digging the track I was playing, actually, but I was playing in a space that I was kind of just like a background mannequin. It felt like there's some DJ moments where you're playing in a hotel lobby or you're playing at an in-store, which is fine. You're not meant to be a headliner or anything. But this old man came up to me when I was playing like a cool, like IDM, just like kind of like house track, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
And he was like, turn this techno shit off. And I was like, who the fuck are you? And he was the GM of the hotel I was playing at. And I was like canned immediately. And I was just like, I remember that was the first gig where I was like, this feels like a slog. I was like, this feels like I'm clocking in. This feels like a drag. Mm-hmm. I don't like this. I was like, I think, and I had a moment of clarity where I was like, am I done with DJing? Is this it? Like, I think this is it. Like, I just got this guy just totally like pulled up on me, telling me to turn this techno shit off when I'm like, actually, Andy Hart is not techno. He's intelligent house music. Yeah. But I wasn't about to explain it to this man. And I sit in my car after it happens. And I totally had a moment where I was like, I think I need to involve other aspects of music in my life beyond just DJing. How could I fold into my passion for music without having to be in a club 5 nights a week? And exhausting my ears, like exposing my ears to this stuff, or like getting sick of the tracks that I'm playing, or I'm having to take gigs that don't feed my soul. Right. Like I did that gig because I needed the money. And so that was that moment where I was like, okay, I'm going to do other things that are musically involved and still have DJing on the side, but that's not my everything. How could I have a life that's filled with music and not just DJing? And that's where I'm at right now.
That's awesome. So that was actually leading me to the next question. So where has DJing taken you? Like what other job? What else have you been doing?
Oh, well, it's actually I feel so blessed because I still DJ occasionally, but I have a business with a couple of partners where we do audio design for hospitality. So bars, restaurants, hotels. Mm-hmm. We, with my designer, David, build out sound systems for something as small as a cool pub, something as massive as a dance club, a dance floor with a slamming system, something as small as a vintage hi-fi setup for a hotel lobby bar. We involve a lot of analog elements like turntables, reel-to-reel machines. So I'm able to create mixes for those reel-to-reel machines. That's where my life as a DJ comes into play.
Wow.
Because I I don't have to be in this business, but yet my mixes are still playing. So there's the analog element, but then I also do digital playlist programming. So we have clients all across the country, and we provide them with curated, handpicked song selections where they don't have to rely on a Spotify channel or a Pandora station, which is just robotic. It's algorithmic. There's no heart. There's no soul to it. So I love that I still get to discover, I still get a mind for music, but I also don't have to, clock out at 2 a.m. I like good sleep. I'm a morning person too, believe it or not. I actually really love my mornings. Yeah. So I'm able to do that. And then the cool thing is that when we do say open up a bar or a restaurant with a turntable setup, for instance, one of our clients is Part-Time Lover in San Diego. Highly recommend checking them out. And then we get to go and DJ there for the opening week.
Oh, wow.
So we help pick out the speakers, David creates the design, and then I get to go and kind of christen the set and also kind of check, like, is everything plugged in right? Is everything working? Because our name's on it. And then, and then just kind of like break it in and then pass the torch to the bar staff or the management, and then they get a book and kind of take it away. And then sometimes I'll help funnel them talent as well, because I have such a cool network of friends across the world, DJs. Right. So I love that I still get to keep in touch with my DJ pals. I get to play in other cities. I've been sent out to other countries to play with friends that I've met through music, through digging forums, through dorky Facebook groups, So I love that I can pick and choose my DJ gigs now, because when I was first cutting my teeth, I mean, it was like I would go to school. I would work a swing shift. I'd get off, have an opening DJ warming up for me, hop on at midnight, play till 2, then do it all over again. But I mean, pressure makes diamonds. So for me, I love that shit. I was like, let's go. Yeah, I was like, let's go. Let's keep grinding. And then also, I mean, it just kept I like had a cadence that was like super tight, and I just got really into my craft. And but now I'm kind of like I'll play, and sometimes I play all vinyl. Sometimes, like for instance, I went out to Memphis. Shout outs to Silky Vincent, who flew me out to Memphis to play at Grand Central Station, this really cool historic hotel, all vinyl, all wax. To still have a need and a desire to be flown out with records, which was really beautiful. But I now play everything. I mean, I play off a thumb drive. I play CDJs. I used to hate on that, but there's no freedom like having your keys in your pocket with like your DJ set on it. Right. It's amazing. I love it.
But do you still prefer vinyl over if
yes,
you have the choice?
Because with vinyl, you're very intentional. Okay. When people come up to me and say, I have a request, I say, I don't know what to tell you. Well, one, I look at my crate and kind of give them that look like, unless you want to hear the whispers, I don't know what to tell you, because very rarely has anybody requested something I had on wax. Yeah. But the setting up of a vinyl set is so intentional. It's like those records that I'm bringing, I have played over and over again for years. The label that's on the top of the record is dirty from my grubby fingers from touching it and rubbing it, because I speed up the record by pinching. I call it pinching the nip. Toph taught me this. Toph 1, where you speed it up by just giving it a little pinch and a twist. And then also I slow it down that way. Some people slow it down by touching the platter, but I slow it down with the nip, the spindle.
I know exactly.
So I had records that were just grubby, grimy, nasty, like I just knew them back and forth. I knew the break. I knew at what point was coming after the chorus. And when you know those records back and forth, they're so much more fun to play. Wow. So I do. Also, the cool thing about vinyl, it feels a little more stable.
Yes.
Okay. Unless you have crusty RCAs or a busted stylus or something. I actually felt so much relief when I flew out to Memphis and I had all these crates of records, because I was like, great, I don't have to worry about my laptop crashing, my files being corrupted. There's pros and cons.
There are.
But the fun thing about playing records is that I know what I'm going to play. I cannot be distracted by some crowd that pulls up or some weird request, where I admit with Serato or a thumb drive, sometimes I'll get swayed by a crowd that comes in and I'm like, I think they're vibing to the song. I should keep going. Okay. And then I get totally taken off to another direction when I have a vinyl set. It's like, this is what I'm playing.
You have to stick to the format.
Got to stick to the format. Yeah, totally.
Wow. I love how you actually diversified your career when you had that moment and you realized that like you can incorporate your life with sound still, right? But still drive your passion for music. And I think that's like something really important to be learned about, like how someone might feel stagnant, right?
Yeah.
And diversifying is really huge.
Yeah, it is.
Right. And like, I mean, I want to know, like, these moments that you had in your life and then you've pulled yourself out, right? I call these moments of resilience, right? Now, can you describe to me like how you channel this resilience inside of you? Because I see a lot of it,
yeah,
especially through this conversation.
Yeah. Gosh, well, resilience for me, it's I think I'm just born a resilient person. My parents raised me to be, to take care of business and get her done, like pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I mean, when I was 17, I moved to San Francisco State when I was 18. I moved to Central Mexico when I was 20 because I wanted to learn Spanish. I'm not Latina. So like I just got up as a white girl and like moved to Querétaro, Mexico. Wow. And lived there for a year because I wanted to learn Spanish. That was really challenging in the beginning. But once I became fluent, it was like, why don't I do this sooner? So once I walked through the fearful moments and didn't die, I was like, shit, let's keep this rolling. So when I, did my first gig on a slamming system, where my knees were knocking, I was shaking because I was like, I've never sound checked this loud, they're going to hear my mistakes. My MP3s are going to sound shitty. Like, oh my God, it's really scary. It's like getting through them and realizing, oh, it worked out, or you did even better than you thought. But then also, I think resiliency could be defined as like with each moment where like you have that corny dude tell you that you're whack, or like one time, it's funny. I don't think this counts as resiliency because I had barely gotten started, but my very first gig ever outside of my bedroom, Tofu put me on, and we played at this spot in San Francisco, and my set was. It was trash. Like, I mean, I was still kind of learning. I was nervous, the pressure of being, performing. Yeah. And some girl on Yelp, like, rated, she like gave the restaurant a 1-star. The bar restaurant was like, we went there for a night out and there was this blonde DJ girl and she was playing, she could not mix for shit. My cat can mix better than her. Like 1-star review. And I saw that and I was like, oh.
Are you kidding me?
I was like, and then I had a moment where I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to get it. And then something inside me was like, well, I'm going to have a mix off with your cat, bitch. Like, what's up? Watch me. I was like, bring your cat and let's fuck it up, And then I was like, just watch. And then I locked myself in the bedroom. And then I took that Wednesday night that nobody wanted. And then I took that Tuesday night that only paid me $25 when it took me $40 in cab fares to get there. And then I did those DJ nights where nobody showed up. It was just me and the bartenders. Like, and I kept doing that. And then when I finally had the gig where it was sold out, it was packed to the brim, people were vibing, I left floating on a high. I was like, this I earned. Like this I earned. And there's a lot of people, not to sound like a curmudgeon, but I think there's a lot of people who expect a packed dance floor or who expect a reaction, who expect people to stay all night at their DJ set. Yeah. And then it's humbling when you play for 4 hours and it's just you and the bartender. But it's like that earns your stripes. That's the grit that you need to like the sour. So when you have a gig that's sweet, it tastes really good. Like you have to have that balance. And I had plenty of those, and I still to this day. But what's funny, the way I look at it is like, listen, I'm going to get paid regardless. So like, It's funny. All the promoters and people who book me, they're like, Megan, we don't want to hear that. You're supposed to promote on socials. Where I'm like, listen, I've been DJing now for 16 years. Like, I've been paid as a DJ outside of my bedroom for 16 years now. And so I'm at a place where people know what they're getting with me. Unless you book me for a private corporate or a wedding gig, which I very rarely do, then I am your puppet. I will play whatever you want me to play. But when you book a DJ Mamabear set, it's like, this is what I get down with. You probably heard me from another gig or another promoter. And you like it or you don't. But I think that when you see, there might be music you see somebody playing that you don't know. And you might not like, a lot of people, I think, dig music that they know, that's familiar.
Oh, okay.
But you might be like, damn, I kind of like this. I don't know what this is. And you're like, oh, is this what Afrobeat is? I don't know, but I like it.
Right.
But you see the DJ feeling it. The blends are buttery. How could you not like it?
Right.
You might not have known until you had an experience with the DJ who looked like they were actually enjoying themselves. And I'd like to think that I do that as well. So, these days what were we talking about? Resiliency? I'm sorry. I was like, cats.
You're still on it.
Talking shit about this cat mix off with a chick. Yeah. Or just kind of like when you want to give up. And yeah, you can give up.
You can.
And I always joke like I'm retired. And my friends are like, you're never retired, Megan. Because I get pulled out. Like I'm playing in Vermont in September. I was like, I'm not going to. And I was like, you know what? And it's for somebody who's like, we really want to hear your style for this special event. And I'm like, okay, let's go. Because I don't place everything on DJing. Music, yes. Everything in my life is related to music that I earn a living off of.
I love that.
Which is a dream come true. That is baby Megan's little dream. Like I thought I wanted to be in A&R or work for a record label. And now day in, day out, I make money off of listening to music, curating music, making mixes, DJing, promoting radio, promoting sounds, promoting new music, promoting places where people can listen to music and have an experience. Yeah. So I feel totally blessed.
I'm actually inspired after you said all that, even though it was just about resilience and like, but you answered my question very deep, and you touched on many topics, and I love the fact that you actually brought in about not giving up, because that's exactly what it is. Now during these times of like pulling yourself together and then being resilient, right? Like, do you have any like mantras or sayings that you say to yourself that really get you going or that keep you back or bring you back? Because I know even now, right? We're always going to face moments in our lives, that, where we're being tried or going through trials and have to maneuver through adversities, right?
Yeah.
Do you have things you say to yourself to keep you?
That's great. What's a mantra or something I tell myself? I wouldn't so much say it's a mantra. It's funny. The first thing that comes to my mind is like, si se puede, like Cesar Chavez. But, I would say it's more of an attitude, like my job on this planet is to be of service, like of maximum service. How does that look? It is transformed over the years. But when I am of service at Dub Lab Radio, I have a show once a month. I've been there for 8 years. I play whatever I want for 2 hours. I have the privilege of being on a radio station that's broadcasted worldwide, that's accessible to anybody. It's free. Yeah. I have met people who I never met them in real life, and they discovered me on The Honey Pot, which is my show, and I DJ their wedding, and I say, I don't DJ weddings. They're like, no, just play The Honey Pot, but at our wedding. People that they found me through radio. So back to the idea, it's more of like a mental state rather than a mantra. Being of service. So I am of service when I'm DJing somebody's wedding. You know what I mean? Like that's a very special occasion. It's a lifelong union. Their friends and family fly out from all over the globe to party, and I do my thing. And it solidifies a memory in their brain. Yeah. I had a great time celebrating that person's love. That's one aspect of my service. I'm of service by helping people who don't get music have a dope restaurant or bar because their music is really good. They're really good at making cocktails. They're really good at having the right lighting, hiring the right bartenders who are quick and friendly, but they don't get music. That's where I'm like, say less, I got you. Let me help you out here. And then they go to create an experience that somebody, say, was visiting San Diego and they're like, wow, I had such a beautiful experience. The music sounded amazing because of the all these moving parts. So if I could be a part of that as well, helping somebody have an amazing experience.
Right.
Creating experience and being of service is like the most important thing for me. So if I'm having a bummer moment, or if I feel dejected because I didn't get booked for a big event that I wanted to be booked for, or maybe, I'm having these moments where I'm filled with self-doubt or self-pity.
Yeah.
I just remember that my job is to be of maximum service to other people. And this could go into like day in, day out things, not necessarily with music.
Of course.
But if I stick to that, it's really hard to fuck up. Like, just continue to show up like, what can I bring to this? Rather than like, what can I take? What can I bring to this party?
Yeah.
Somebody could be having a shitty day. Their cat just died, and they want to get out of the house. And it's like, let's go down the street to whatever bar. And it's like, oh, Mamabear's playing and she's actually having fun. And she looks like she's enjoying herself. And for a moment, I could forget about my dead cat. Like those are the things I think about when I'm like too self-absorbed or consumed about like, I didn't get this, or I didn't have that gig, or I didn't get this accolade. Where it's like, why it started was because of the music, and why it's going to end is because of the music. So
that's beautiful. Now, have you had an opportunity in your life, like just how someone took you under their wing, right, and paid it forward? Have you had the opportunity now in your career yet to be able to pay it forward? I think you pay it forward all the time.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I really try to, because I can't, especially in the DJ scene, there's so many moments where, you're going to visit another city and you're like, oh, I want a gig in Denver. I want a gig in Miami. And a friend of a friend introduced me, or just somebody I knew from like the blog era or the Twitter, when Twitter was, the way to communicate between DJs.
Yeah.
That's how I got a gig, in Miami. That's how I got to play Art Basel, or how I got to play in Oslo, Norway, was because of my friends Dirty Hans and Fred Fades, who we knew each other through this like dorky Facebook group about disco records. So it's funny, Dirty Hans is actually playing at Dub Lab on Saturday, because he told me he's in town. I was like, come to the studio. So I truly believe that like, I have to give it freely to receive it freely. And so I had a moment. I rarely go on Facebook, only if I need to do like Facebook Marketplace stuff, It's like they got me there. But I went on Facebook, and there was a memory that a friend had put up, my friend Harold, and it was from 11 years ago. And he said, thank you, Mamabear, for giving me my first DJ gig ever. Like, I'm forever indebted to you, or something like that. And I was like, damn, I forgot about that. I forgot. And you just have no idea the type of impact having somebody who's very passionate about it, who's in it for the right reasons. I'd like to think I have a pretty good grasp on, people who really love DJing for the music. And I'm happy to boost those people and get them on an opening gig or whatever, giving them the chance or the opportunity, because what if I didn't get that by asking people,
right?
But also I did for a year continue to DJ in my room and just go to shows and not ask for it. Wasn't until Toph One gave me that first little gig where I got a 1-star review on Yelp. And then Toph gave me a weekly on an off night. Nobody was there. And then I got a hookup from a friend, DJ Jason Fote DJ Jason Fote. He just was like, I'm not going to come back on Fridays. You take my weekly residency. And I was like, what? And it was all because of other people just, giving me the opportunity, or they were able to like pass the torch.
Yeah.
So how could I not do that, for other people? I think, but I say that with caveat, like as long as they're like putting in
the work,
God, putting in the work and like showing. That's where I sound old, where I'm like, have you earned your stripes?
Yeah.
Like how many crates have you carried? Like how many nights have you played to where there's only like 3 people who show up and they boo you? I mean, I've never been booed, but I've gotten like people writing notes like, play, and they write a request, but I'll never forget. I was DJing a wedding and this woman, one of the waitresses, she was an older woman, and she on a business card like slid it to me, and she was like, "You're the best DJ ever," and put like a little happy face, and she was just like serving the food. You know what I mean? So those people really touch me more than say a Yelp review or a retweet or a repost, you know what I mean, from somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's awesome. They're just great stories. Actually, I wanted to know, being a female in a male dominated market, right? Mm-hmm. How has that been for you? And like, have you experienced anything that in your career that really made you question, what industry you're in? And have you had any experiences like that where you're just like, ugh?
No, actually, I mean, I've had one or two moments where, I've been in the booth and somebody's like, "Oh, or is your boyfriend DJing?" Or like they hand me the mic because they think I'm like a singer or something. Mm-hmm. But then I'm like, move it. I'm like, where can I put my crate? And they're kind of like, "Oh shit," which I love. Uh-huh. But no, I'd like to think, Toph One, who's a man, who he never saw me as like a lady DJ. He was just like, "You're Mamabear." By the way, he gave me that name. So he's like, "You're Mamabear." And then I also my DJ crew, Sweater Funk. There were 3 other sisters in the crew, but then the rest were dudes, and we always got equal play. There was a lot of people in the crew, but we always did rotations. Mm-hmm. I was always uplifted like any of the other dudes in the crew. Yeah, that's cool. I got a lot of support from them. And, I used to, but in the beginning, I've never felt like I didn't get gigs for being a girl. If anything, people I think wanted to give me gigs because I'm a girl, like ladies' nights and stuff. And in my early DJ career, I would do those because I loved like the sisterhood and the solidarity. Yeah. But then when years passed, I felt like I was getting hit up for those gigs because they're trying to like meet a quota. Or like meet a number or like appease certain people. And I sniffed that out and I was like, nah, I'm good. Like I want to play with anybody. I think I'm a good DJ regardless of the fact whether I'm a man or a woman. So I don't want to just be on a ladies' night. I want to be on a DJ night. Like, please book me for my skills and my selections rather than the fact like, oh, she's a DJ and she happens to be a lady. So I personally have never felt slighted or like I haven't had the opportunity because I've always led with, these are my selections. Book me because I'm good. Don't book me or book me because I'm good and I'm a good fit for your party. Don't book me just because I'm a girl. No.
That's an excellent answer. It actually took away the other question that I had, so it's not even important.
No, ask it anyways. What was it?
Well, it was just like, it was just leading into the importance of diversity and inclusion, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's such a male-dominated market and you are a female, and I feel like you probably know best what women bring to the table, mm-hmm. right? And then can you explain how important that is?
Yeah, well, I think now more than ever.
Yeah.
Now more than ever, women are crushing it as DJs in a very short amount of time. Like women who have just started like a year or two ago are headlining. And that could be for many reasons. That could be because they're really dope turntablists, or they can mix, or they have great selections, or they might be a marketing machine and they might have really dope promo and they get TikTok and they get IG, whatever it is, do you, boo. But I think there's no kind of like ceiling, or in my opinion, as a woman to enter this. I think if you are good, people can't say shit about you.
That's damn
if
true.
You are good mm-hmm. and you're professional.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the other thing, because just because you're in a dark club that serves alcohol doesn't mean you could be late, not be respectful, spill shit on the mixer. There's kind of a decorum that was taught to me in the DJ community, like show up an hour before your set, say what's up to the DJ before you, grab a drink, sit in the cut, get familiar. When the time is right, you'll come up and transition, like little things like that. That, in addition to your skill set and what you can play, like that, I think is going to get you booked.
Yeah.
Not just the fact that you're a girl. So I don't think there's any sort of like, if you want to DJ, it's not because of how you look or how you identify. It's like, what are you bringing that makes you special, that sets you apart from the rest?
I love that.
Like, how are you in a world where everyone's a fucking DJ? My mom could be a DJ. My cat, dog can be a DJ. Robots are DJs. AI can DJ.
Yeah.
You could DJ off an iPad. Why should you be booked over other people? That's a question I ask myself. And I don't get booked for every gig, and I shouldn't get booked for every gig. I mean, if I did get booked for every gig, then I'm not staying true to myself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. How are you staying on top of your skill set? Like, what are you doing now as far as, are you always practicing? Or are you still locking yourself in the room?
No. No, you know what? Dublab, what I love about Dublab is that it gives me the opportunity to spread honey, I say. Spread honey worldwide. Touch people who might not otherwise see me because they don't live in LA or they can't get outside. So I love playing at Dublab because they have badass CDJ 3000s, Technique 1200s. They have cassette decks if I wanted to play cassettes. Like, I love being in the studio by myself, monitors cranking, and I just fuck around with all the effects. So they have the new, you probably know, the new Pioneer mixer that has is it 10 channels?
It's like 6 or is it 10?
It's gnarly. It's like a cockpit, like it's a spaceship, and it has like EQs, like EQs have EQs. It has like all these different effects and faders, and so I'll get in there and I'm like, I'm going to spiral this out. I'm going to echo this out. I'm going to reverb this out. I'm going to stop this out. I just have so much fun in there because I don't have a pressure from a dance floor, or I'm not worried about messing up or being sloppy. And then I just play whatever I want. So that's where I get my practice in. But I continue to buy records. So I'm a big fan of Bandcamp. Bandcamp Fridays is a big thing that really kind of helped a lot of artists who put out independent music. During the pandemic, on Fridays, they would give the artists more of a cut from the sale. Gotcha. So that's where I got familiar with a lot of artists and would just like buy records to support. So these days, I don't so much buy records to, the way I buy records is like I categorize it. I'm like, this record is going to make a dance floor pop. Okay. Like these are my 12-inch disco singles. These are for when I go back to DJ a dance club. This is going to be my slam and crate. Wow. Then I buy a lot of 45s because I'm a huge fan of like retro soul and like oldies, like cholo shit, Wow. So like I'll buy 45s for when I play, my crusty dusty. If I ever do another Art Laboe,
Yeah.
If we ever do another Art Laboe show, I'll have my 45 set locked in. So I really buy for what I like and then see if I can incorporate it into a dance set or a DJ set. But right now I feel I love, it's really quality over quantity. I got rid of a lot of stuff over pandemic because I just wanted to have a vinyl library that's like I could pick it and know that I'm going to love it and then I'm going to be able to enjoy it whether it's at home or on a dance floor. That's
amazing. So do you see yourself like what's next for DJ Mamabear? Where do you see yourself going the next? Let's just put it like 5 years from
now. So 5 years. I would still love to DJ. I would love to DJ at like where I'm at. It's interesting. So pandemic, just to kind of back up a little bit. When pandemic happened and everyone went streaming, well, many people went streaming. Yeah. I kind of had a identity crisis because I thought, should I go streaming? Should I be on Twitch? But I don't want to. Like I felt glued, like paralyzed. I was like, I don't want to Twitch. I don't want to be on camera DJing in my living room by myself. But I saw my friends doing it and I would love it. I mean, I like locked in like I was going out to a DJ night. Like I would get a drink, a sparkling water and sit on the couch and put my friend's Twitch set on the big screen and just like vibe out. And I saw a lot of friends really catapult their career that way, which is beautiful. And I love that for them. But at that point, and I think that really helped people DJ more, gig more. I'm thinking particularly Angela, my friend Spinurita. Her career has been so incredible to watch because she was twitching in the beginning and so many people got exposed to her. And that translated once we opened back up and now she's gigging all over the place. Wow. So, but for me, I felt like I was enjoying more being a spectator and seeing the people who were out going to parties out and about.
Yeah.
Not that I'm super old, but like because they're out in kind of like that sphere and that orbit, they can add more value.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I'm so content doing a nice and easy 6 to 10 rooftop set, or even a vibey 3 to 7 in Palm Springs, or even a cool 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. at Part-Time Lover. I don't care so much about being the headliner anymore, and that's interesting because when I was younger, all I wanted, and I would gig 7 nights in a row because I was like, I'm gonna get there, I'm gonna be the headliner, and then I'd find myself going to Hollywood and like paying $50 to park, but then getting paid $50. What the fuck? And I was like DJing 7 nights a week because I thought I would stay relevant that way. I would be popping. But then I just found myself resentful. And once I peeled back and realized like it doesn't matter, like if I get the headline or if I play that bar, if I play that festival, I'm like, I'm having fun doing what I do. And if the right person sees it, cool. But will my life be over if I don't play Deck Mantle? No. I mean, Deck Mantle, hit me up, if you want to fly me out, like I'll be there. But I also understand that the amount of effort a DJ puts in will be rewarded. You know what I mean? Like I can't expect to get something if I'm not grinding at it all the time. Like I see my friend Angela Spinarita, day in, day out, she's grinding and she's being rewarded for that, playing Coachella and playing abroad and stuff like that. So I'm really enjoying just curating music for hospitality, because that actually is what I went to college for, was hospitality management.
Okay.
So it's funny. I used to work at the W San Francisco, back of house, and then I'd clock out and I'd DJ in the lobby, like as DJ Mamabear. So they'd be like, what the hell? I thought you answered the phones. I'm like, I do. I answer the phones and I DJ in the lobby. Like I do both. But I love, I love going to a restaurant and having not only a beautiful meal, but having it enhanced with an incredible song.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Or think about it. Have you ever had a really bomb meal, but the music sucked and like that's all you were thinking about?
Yes.
Like you're so distracted because they were playing Kesha. No offense, Kesha. Like I'll never forget. I had an incredible steak, like steak frite, and then Kesha came on and I was like, damn, like I can't enjoy the steak. I'm so distracted by the music. So
wow. Okay.
Continuing to help ambiance with hospitality and then DJing occasionally when it feels right.
Okay. I look forward to all of that. Well, I've enjoyed our conversation. I'm sure our audience has learned so much. There's so much information in between everything you've said that could definitely help someone really apply to their own life. And the stories of resilience and not giving up and continuously working hard towards a goal and understanding how to not let the adversities of life to drive you away and just continue to push forward, I think are the biggest things I walked away with about your story. And I really enjoyed it. And if you can tell, let everybody know on camera or this camera or that camera or that camera, where they can actually reach out to you or find, what you've been up to.
Yeah, absolutely. So Instagram is where you could find DJ Mamabear stuff. So my Instagram handle is actually 3 M's. So MMMAMABEARRR. So Mamabear, but with a couple M's on the front, a couple R's in the back. And then my business is called Uncanned Music. So if you have a bar, restaurant, hotel, you're interested in digital playlist programming or sound design, we do that as well. And that Instagram is Uncanned Music. And then also dublab.com is my radio station. And if you search Mamabear, you can find my shows. I have 8 years of 2-hour shows archived. So if you need a party, and also it's separated by genre. So if you want more house music, I got house shows. I got down-tempo shows. Really just, I could play whatever I want on Dublab, which is beautiful. So I highly recommend going to Dublab, listen live, but also some of your favorite DJs have played on Dublab, I'm almost certain.
And also learn something. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. Thank you, Ace.
All right, till next time.
Sounds good.
Thank you for tuning into For the Rotation. If you found inspiration in today's episode, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Please visit fortherotation.com to view more episodes and support our podcast by purchasing some cool merch. You can also find us on all social media channels at For the Rotation to engage with our community of dream chasers. Until next week, keep the inspiration flowing and your dream alive, and return to learn how we do it all for the rotation.